Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, we are back with a brand new Cabral Concept. Today's episode 2624. You're going to want to head over to stephencabral.com/2624. And the reason is we have some amazing research to bring to you today. I am deep into the field of anti-aging, life extension, as well as, I would say, age reversal, because we know that that's possible now. It is not mainstream, but it will currently be soon mainstream. And one of those things is intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting has been shown to be one of the closest things that we have to the fountain of youth. The problem is it has been done incorrectly now for many years. And really, it is only because it's been a Western-based mindset thing. It's never been the way that Ayurveda has recommended to do intermittent fasting or any of the other Eastern-based medicines or philosophies. So let's get into the research. I always bring things to you from an unbiased perspective, but I want you to be able to max out your benefits. And it seems that we may be doing more harm than good. So let's check it out. So, the headline is very sensationalistic. This is not my headline. I'm going to read directly to you, and then I'll interject probably along the way and then do a summary at the end, because I think that there's a lot that we can take away, but also some tweaks to this particular research that I think may have been a little bit overdone. So the headline is this: this popular diet increases your risk of an early death by 30%. So it goes on to say intermittent fasting, one of the most popular diets, may actually raise the risk of early death. Pretty sensationalistic, I know, but let's get into it. A study of 24,000 Americans over the age of 40 discovered that people who ate just a single meal each day, as opposed to 3 meals, were 30% more likely to die from any reason within 15 years. Ironically, one of the main benefits touted by the diet's adherents, as well as studies, is longevity and a reduced risk of catching several different diseases. By the way, you don't catch a disease. I just want to state that. But in a more recent study, skipping breakfast was linked to a higher chance of dying from heart disease, while skipping lunch increased overall odds of general mortality. These results remained even if people were exercising, eating healthily, and not smoking or drinking alcohol, the researchers claimed. All right, let's keep on going. How can intermittent fasting lead to an early death? The researchers further state that people who adhere to an intermittent fasting diet usually eat a relatively large amount of food at once, something that over time could end up damaging the body. Having said that, the researchers warned that it's too early to say for sure if intermittent fasting plays a role in dying since lifestyle choices and genetic factors can't be ruled out yet. The study concluded, this was done, the University of Tennessee, and it was concluded that the key to a long life is eating 3 meals a day. However, eating these meals too close together was also linked to an increased likelihood of dying early. Just like the theory about intermittent fasting, the researchers think that eating too much food too quickly puts a metabolic strain on the body. At a time when intermittent fasting is widely touted as a solution for weight loss, metabolic health, and disease prevention, our study is important for the large segment of the Americans who eat fewer than 3 times per day. Our research revealed that individuals eating only 1 meal a day are more likely to die than those who had more daily meals. In a study, which was published in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Diabetics, the researchers analyzed data from 24,011 people over the age of 40 from across the U.S. who had participated in a survey conducted between 1999 and 2014, so 15 years, which asked them questions about nutrition, health, and diseases and behavior every 2 years. 40% of the participants ate less than 3 meals a day on average. Their responses were taken alongside medical records. In total, 4,175 of the participants died by the end of the study, including 878 who died due to heart problems. Compared to participants who ate 3 meals a day, Eating just one meal a day was linked to a 30% increased likelihood of dying from any cause and an 83% increase in the risk of dying from heart disease. I mean, that's a huge number right there. Skipping breakfast had a 40% increased likelihood of dying from heart disease, though there were no difference in all-cause mortality. Last paragraph, too much energy. Having said that, people who missed lunch or dinner were 12 to 16% more likely to die from any cause. People who ate 3 meals a day, but with less than 4.5 hours on average between at least 2 of them, had a 17% higher chance of death for any reason. Our findings are based on observations drawn from public data and do not imply causality. Nonetheless, what we observed makes metabolic sense. The researchers explain that skipping meals usually means putting a lot of energy all at once, which can cause or can exacerbate the burden of regulating glucose, metabolism, leading to subsequent metabolic deterioration. This could also explain the link between shorter intervals between meals and mortality, because a shorter time, as less time between meals, could also mean more energy in a smaller period of time. All right. All that said, what does all of this mean? I'm going to link you up all of the research so you can read it for yourself. But again, I like to approach things from an unbiased perspective. We know intermittent fasting works. We know that it works. So now all we're trying to figure out, should you fast for 12 hours, 14, 16, 20, 23 hours and just have maybe 1 meal a day with that 23-hour fast, right? That's what we're looking at. And I think studies like this are important. Yes, it's an overall analysis, but it was done over 15 years. They have 24,000 plus people in the study. And again, I want to go back to Ayurveda. I want to go back to these forms of medicine that have been around for 6,000 years. They've had a long time to play out what they see as right and what they don't, right? And you'll see on my podcast from like 7 years ago, why 3 meals a day. I want to share with you something that's important. And I want you to understand that this is how I live my philosophy as a doctor of naturopathy, as the head of some very large organizations like the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, like Equalife, and even the Cabral concept, is that I will never bring you fad diets. I will never bring you what is the diet, of the day. It's never something I'm going to do. I don't care that I could make more money, sell a lot of books, anything like that. Never what I'm going to do. I want you to know that what I share with you is what I use in my own clinical practice, what I teach to our integrative health practitioners, what I live in my own life, what I would tell my own family. I want you to share with you this. We know that 12 to up to 16 hours a day is going to be a good amount of time for an intermittent fast. But I've told you this throughout the years. Skipping meals puts stress on your body. Is it an easy way to lose weight, transform the body? Yeah, it is. I'm not going to say that. But I've talked about this before. There's a lot of people right now recommending a gram of protein per pound of body weight or pound of body weight that you want to weigh. We've been doing that since the 1990s. I didn't make that up. I mean, bodybuilders have been doing that since like early 1900s. It works for transforming your body. What a lot of these doctors or experts or people preaching is the problem is this. They're not understanding what is referred to as, and I'll link this up today. So I'm going to link all of these up and just because I want to go deeper and I really want to try to help people. So if you go to stephencabral.com/2624, I will give you all the research, all of the links. It's called the disposable soma theory of longevity. You can do things in the short term that are going to transform your body, get you lean, get you muscular, get you all toned. Again, I'm linking that up. And they come with the consequence of a long, healthy life, okay? So one of those things is you could just do one meal a day, especially if you're a male, and especially if you're in your 20s or 30s. It can work great. You have more muscle mass than more women, typically most women. You are already metabolically active. you're young, you're in your 20s and 30s, you probably don't have as many potential issues with heart disease and high blood pressure, et cetera, and you get away with it. The problem is for many people, especially women, they end up with thyroid issues. They end up with insulin regulating issues, potentially. Again, I know that intermittent fasting helps with that. And again, we use it in our own practice. We've been doing it before it was popular, before it was cool, because it's been in science for a long time now. So what am I recommending? You can go back. I have a whole lot of podcasts just on intermittent fasting, always unbiased. Go to stephencabral.com/IF. stephencabral.com/IF. That's it. And you'll find them all. So here's the thing though. It's just called the Intermittent Fasting Podcast. It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, et cetera. And we've always said 12 to 16 hours, but that doesn't mean skipping breakfast. Even in our weight loss programs, we're having people stop eating by 6 at night, and they can start eating by 8 to 10 in the morning. They can have breakfast between 8 and 10, lunch around 1, dinner around 5, 5:30. That is exactly what this study is now proven. 4 to 5 hours between meals. I taught that 7 years ago or so on the podcast, Why 3 Meals a Day? And it's because it allows your blood sugar to come down between meals, but it also allows your body to use that energy. Your body is not looking for a day's worth of energy in one sitting. It's not. That's not how the body works. It is a great amount of metabolic stress. And I'll share it on a separate show. And I learned this many, many years ago in Ayurveda, because well, why don't I share it with you right now? It's basically on having a large meal, especially at night. It's the most detrimental. And so I'm going to share this in the future. But essentially, a man was celebrating his 100th birthday. And typically this man would eat a small breakfast, a moderate lunch, and then a easy to digest dinner like soup or so. And every single day he had his breakfast, he had a larger lunch, and then he had a very small dinner, typically something easy to digest, as I said, like soup. Okay, so they're celebrating his 100th birthday, and all the village got together. They had a big feast, lots of meats and special foods and pies and all these things, and alcohol, and he typically wasn't one that drank or ate a lot of these rich foods, but he did that night. And he celebrated, he enjoyed his 100th birthday, and unfortunately that night, by the next morning, he never woke up. And this parable and this story has been shared, well, over thousands of years. And it basically shared with people that, especially as we get older, the larger the meal that we eat, the more metabolic stress, especially on the heart, the cardiovascular system that affects blood pressure and atherosclerosis and just overall function of the arteries. So I share this with you here today because everybody telling you that 1 meal a day is the way to go, be careful with that. The science doesn't actually prove that out. Now, you can look at specific things like, oh, it helps with this and helps with that. Those are all cherry-picked. You want to look at things holistically. All-cause mortality, heart disease, literally 1.7 seconds. Every 1.7 seconds, someone's dying of heart disease or having a heart attack. So I think we have to be careful with that. My recommendation has always been 12 to 16 hours of intermittent fasting. Better to do it during dark hours. Circadian rhythm is the next thing you're going to start to see in the future. I'm teaching this inside of HPH now. So we're basically putting the finishing touches on HPH, and it's all about increasing health span, which is the number of years you stay healthy in life, and then lifespan, the amount of years you stay alive. And there absolutely is more of a benefit to intermittent fasting during dark hours than light hours. There is more metabolically stressful to not eat when it's light out, when your body's meant to be up and having energy. So I just want to share with that as well. I'll be stating and giving you all the science in that too. But this is legitimate research. And I hope that people take this to heart, that they are not trying to jam in all of their calories in a tiny window of time, right? Because it's not the best thing. A lot of these longevity-based studies and researchers, by the way, I know these researchers, I know the ones that say they're eating 1 meal a day or trying to, they are not. And I don't want to disparage any of them. They're having a little bit of yogurt for breakfast. They're having a small salad or, a little meal with lunch, and then they're having their bigger dinner at night, which, by the way, is the reverse that it should be. And it's not following what they're giving their lab rats as well. So again, I just want to share that you have to be careful when we're looking at these things. And even if you wanted to do 2 meals a day, I would look at my podcast that I did on the Ramadan diet, where people are eating 12 hours apart, essentially, before sunup and then right at sundown. And they actually had really great markers in terms of inflammation. Now, they didn't skip breakfast. They obviously had breakfast. They had dinner. They were skipping lunch. I'd love to see a new study on that. But in general, you're keeping your body balanced. The body is all about balance. Don't load it up all at one time and cause more stress on it. Okay, like medium-sized breakfast, your largest meal of the day is lunch, smallest meal is dinner. Now, I'm gonna say, I'm not the best at that either. When I sit down with my family, that's when I like to enjoy a nice meal. So there's always pros and cons, or there's always, gives and takes in life. And that's how I've decided. So I do an easy to digest breakfast, I do a normal sized lunch, then I have it's not huge, but I also have that dinner before 6 p.m. so that it enables me to then go to 8 a.m. the next morning. I do about 14 hours for an intermittent fast. I've always found it works best for my body. My blood sugar is coming down. I want to make sure that 7:38, I start to eat again. And it's worked great for me. You might be able to go a little bit longer, but I've looked at my blood sugar levels. I know how I amp up throughout the day and how I get right into my day. I start my day actually walking and talking, doing my meetings, all these different things. So I want to share that with you today. Take it for what it's worth, right? It is another study looking at intermittent fasting, but this is over a 15-year period of time. It also makes sense through all of the other forms of medicine besides like single cherry-picked science in conventional-based medicine. I want to share with you just one last point. I'm a huge advocate of intermittent fasting. I think it just needs to be done right, and it can't be overdone, which is what we talk a lot about, right, in our Western-based mindset. If a little is good, well, a lot must be better. So check out my podcast on daily intermittent fasting, a longer intermittent fast just once a week, right? Just once a week, not every day doing 23 hours. And then also the quarterly fast as well. We'll link that up, the 3 different types of fasts, or might even be 4 that I have on the podcast at 2624. Again, StephenCabral.com/2624 for all the research studies. And I would love to hear what you think. Feel free to post them right in the comments. Let me know how long you fast on a daily basis, how it's working for you. Take care, everybody. I'll talk with you soon. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to StephenCabral.com/resources.